Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of the Women of Wrestling podcast. It is episode 55 here at Ring Bells. It's Irish Stu Allen and Freaky Lee Burton. And Lee, how are you?
Yeah, I'm that well.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lee Burton has contracted SHIMVirus.
Yes, it has hit me like a train.
Yes. Now, the interesting thing about this is that the interviewee that we've got coming up, with the interview, I should say, was recorded last week before SHIMMER, and that is with Leah Von Dutch. And that's Leia Von Dutch, who was actually on the Sparkle show on Saturday on the pre-show, and then on the full SHIMMER show on Sunday. So when you listen to that part of the show today, Lee's voice will in fact be back.
Yeah, I sound positively sprightly.
Yes, you do. But you're anything but that. Now, SHIMVirus, for anybody who's not aware, it seems to be a bit of a common thing that I think when everyone comes from all around the world, and there's lots of, hugging and exchanging of germs. I don't know. By the time everyone leaves Chicago, it seems that a majority of people seem to have contracted some sort of like cold or flu-like virus. And I don't know, I've been lucky in 10 trips to Chicago. I don't think I've ever contracted a serious case of the SHIMVirus, but you're dying.
No, this is real. I guess if you consider that we did the flights,
yes.
Which is there was a short hop flight to Dublin, then a long one to Chicago. So that's a lot of time just breathing in other people's farts. Then you go to the shows, which has 200 people there each day. That's a lot of bodies, a lot of germs being thrown around. Then you're at the after party each day, and then you're flying back, so you're breathing in more people's farts. It's almost inevitable that you're going to get something, and I'll tell you right now, I slept for 17 hours earlier on today.
Wow.
But I'm powering through because I'm a guy.
Yes.
I will not go to the doctor, but I will bitch and moan about it forever and a day.
Yes. Yeah. This is like, I guess the SHIMVirus is like an advanced version of man flu.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a tough one, but I'm dosed up on paracetamol and ibuprofen. And I'm ready to go, ish.
So you're doing a wrestling podcast and you're pilled up to the eyeballs. I gotta appreciate that.
Well, living the dream.
So yeah, last week we talked to a lovely young lass by the name of Leia Von Dutch, who told us all about the fact that she's coming over to the UK starting next weekend for about a month. She's got a lot of stuff coming up, including a couple of Eve shows, an ICW Fierce Female show, and more. And we talked all about her career to date so far, and her interesting sort of way of getting into the business, and all of her very very grand plans for what she wants to do with her life. I think we both ended up very very impressed with her positivity.
Absolutely, I think she was the kind of person you listen to, you kind of think what she's doing makes total sense, and I don't understand why other people aren't doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. I mean, Leia Von Dutch is a very driven young lady, and she's put herself out there. She's trying to improve her position in wrestling, trying to expand her fan base, trying to expand her horizons, and she's got her eye on a WWE contract somewhere down the line. But we won't spoil anything about that now. It's a really fun interview with someone that I think probably a lot of people won't have heard of, and that's part of the reason why we ever started this podcast in the first place, is to try and point some fingers at some people who deserve to have a bit of recognition.
Absolutely. I think she's the prime example about how this podcast works, is that we speak to the people who you're probably more familiar with, and then every so often we throw in people who you may not be so familiar with, and so it's almost a learning process. And that's not just a learning process for everybody who's listening. This is a learning process for us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We learned plenty from from talking to Leia, and it's nice to see her actually on Sparkle and Shimmer. We don't talk about that on the podcast because at the point last week where we talked to her, that wasn't meant to be common knowledge. So if you're wondering why during the course of the podcast there's no talk about Shine and Sparkle, or about Shimmer and Sparkle, that's why. But doesn't mean we can't talk for at least a little bit about Shimmer right now.
Oh yeah, we were there, weren't we?
We were there, and the weekend was man. It was an emotional weekend, and that's mostly thanks to one Allison Danger.
Yeah, damn you, Danger, for making me cry.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I want to watch back the DVD for Volume 57 when that comes out again, because I don't know. There was a moment where she was in the ring, and she'd come out for her final match, and her and Leva Bates were both, I guess, doing their final cosplay together, and they were both dressed as Allison Danger, which is a very nice touch. And Joey Eastman, doing the introduction, introduced them, and he mentioned that they were weighing in at a combined weight of 12 large. And at that point, I can't even lie, my eyes welled up at that point. Danger in the ring put her head down in the corner. She was still wearing her mask, and she was broken at that point as well. And I don't know. I mean, that was a weird one. I mean, that was obviously in reference to the late Larry Sweeney, whose anniversary just passed not too long ago as well. But yeah, it was an emotional time, and she talked about her reasons for retiring, both nagging injuries and more recent discoveries of lesions on her brain that are basically causing her to retire.
Yeah, it's quite a shocking little revelation that I know that I wasn't expecting to hear that. I mean, we kind of heard about just maybe hanging up the boots, but no real reason as to why. We just heard nagging injuries. So
look, I mean, we've talked to Danger a number of times. We're friendly with Danger, and I know I've spoken to her several times over the last few years, and she's always sort of talked about hanging him up soon, as far as nagging injuries are concerned. So she may have got a little scare, and of course these lesions that we're talking about, they're not in any way life threatening or anything like that, but they have drawn a close to her career. It's not something that I think is particularly hastened the end of her career. I think it's something that she would have been doing anyway. This has just ensured that this final chapter of her in-ring career is the final chapter of her in-ring career.
Absolutely. But we've written about our personal feelings about Danger as well, and that was in the roundup this week.
That was interesting. I mean, we both met her, probably around the same time back in 2007, and she's been very important to both of us.
Absolutely, and it was tough to write that. It was very tough for me to write that roundup. It's one of those ones where you just can't stop writing.
Yeah,
and I wrote a lot, and I think. Well, she completely deserves it. She deserves a happy sort of retirement, and even though she's not wrestling anymore, she's still going to be part of Shimmer as well, taking the backstage role. So it's not like we've seen the last of Allison Danger.
No, she joked about that as well. Part of the press release that Dave Prazak put out was that she would have a bigger role backstage, and she actually said in the ring, "That's a binding contract, Prazak." So yeah, she'll be back, and her presence will continue to be felt around Shimmer and certainly around the locker room, and I think everybody's happy to know that. Other big stories over the weekend. We've got comprehensive coverage on the website. Go and check it out. Both days, all the results in full. We have thoughts live from the show that I wrote up after each of the 2 days. We've got pictures taken from ringside from where we were. And you've got some additional thoughts then on the Shimmer weekend and the roundup as well. So there's not a lot for us left to say, but I mean, it's just probably mentioning a couple of the other things that happened briefly. Madison Eagles and Serena Deeb are back. They returned at 53, but they underlined last weekend that they're just great.
Yes, they are. This is not news.
They are just great. I mean, really, it's just like, what is wrong with the world that these people exist in it? I mean, I never thought either of them would wrestle again, honestly. We've talked to them both during the course of their injuries, and, there were times where I really, I mentally thought that was it. And both of them have come back, and both of them have looked as good as they ever have.
Probably better, because I guess during that time as well, every single other nagging injury which they had is gone.
Yeah.
So they're not waking up in the morning in pain anymore.
I guess there is that. They probably never felt better. Big overarching story of the weekend was the ascension of 3G to become the new SHIMMER Tag Team Champions. Great
story. Yeah. It was a really, really great story. You had the disappointment in the first tag title match on Volume 54 when the Ninjas got themselves counted out. Then they were trying to get themselves disqualified. They were running, they were ducking, they were dodging, and finally 3G got their hands on them on Volume 57 and beat them in the main event, and a very worthy main event as well.
Yes. We had the ascension of, not right to the top, but the ascension of people like Courtney Rush and Calamity to main event status. I'm super happy about both of those because I'm big fans of both of them, and I think both of them should deserve more opportunities to be in that main event mix because both of them did well when they were there.
Absolutely. There's also Athena as well. She was rising. So it's a case of the people who were rising up over the last set of tapings, despite there being a more stacked roster on this time round and a more stacked card, they were still rising up as well. And I think that's a real big boost for all those three women.
Cheerleader Melissa went heel at the weekend as well.
In a move which you weren't too sure was actually going to happen.
I wasn't?
Well, you in the reports you were saying that she was wrestling a little bit heelish, but that was just because it was two baby faces.
Yeah, I get what you mean now. Yeah, no, I mean it's like when I saw Melissa being a bit rougher than usual and being a little bit heelish against Courtney Rush, I kind of thought that well look, it's a babyface match, and the thing that some of the old NWA champions back in the day used to do is when they would defend their title, even though they were a babyface against the local babyface, they'd work a bit rougher just to make sure that underdog would get the right reaction. And I thought that was maybe just what Melissa was doing on the first day. It became much clearer on the second day that wasn't just the case, because against Calamity in particular, she was absolutely murdering her at times, and really was almost full on heel. The actual final heel turn didn't happen until Danger's retirement match as well.
Yeah, it was Melissa deliberately trying to injure Danger on the way out.
Yes, and that was fun enough because that was the first show we ever attended live was 5 years ago. It was the volume that was main evented by the Dangerous Angels against Cheerleader Melissa and Mischief. And that was the show in which Melissa delivered an air raid crash to Allison Danger and broke her clavicle. And that was really the story of what happened across the weekend with Melissa trying to injure it once again.
Yeah, and as it turned out, it was because of Melissa's excessive roughness. It meant that the decision was reversed as well. So Allison Danger ends up going out with a victory.
Yes. And a victory over the SHIMMER champion, I guess.
Indeed.
Jessica Havoc didn't quite debut. I mean, we're talking about debuts and returns. A lot of these actually happened in Volume 53, but 54 we had the chance to see them across an entire weekend.
Yeah, I think that Havoc kind of did what she needed to do. She established herself as a really big monster heel. And
she established herself also as somebody who'll be back.
Absolutely.
I was always hoping that would be the case, but there did remain the possibility that maybe Havoc was going to come in solely for a short run. I mean, Dave's always said that you don't have to see all of your favourites in all of your promotions, and I thought maybe Havoc might have just come in for a short run, but certainly doesn't seem that way. It looks like she'll be back. It looks like she'll continue to be a player on the SHIMMER scene. I want to put out props as well to Kimberly.
Yep, that's a fair call.
She was our Discovery of the Year for last year. and we can pick him.
Really can.
No, seriously. I mean, I was massively impressed pretty much every time I saw her last year, I was really pleased that she came into Shimmer and really showed a great account for herself. She's been kind of overshadowed, I think, by Havoc's debut and probably also Evie as well. And we'll talk about her in just a second. But Kimberly, I really like just what she does. She's got a lot of personality to go along with her talent, and for somebody who has limited time in the business so far, she absolutely gets it.
Yeah, she made a really good impression, I thought. And, you mentioned Evie there. I think that Evie also just made a really good impression with people. And, she had her bell rung in the first match with Kimberly, which I think sort of hampered the number of matches which she had over the weekend. But the matches that she did have, I was very suitably impressed with.
Yes, yeah. I think it's a shame for Evie. I think she came in on the back of a lot of hype. A lot of people getting very excited to see Evie. And obviously, as you say, that bell ringing in the first match just knocked her a little bit loopy. Just to be careful, she only got one more match then across the weekend. But both matches were really good, and I hopefully dare to say she'll be back as well.
Yeah, another person I need to throw out just a big thumbs up to, because this is somebody who we've kind of been waiting to kind of break out. Melanie Cruise had a hell of a weekend.
Yeah, no, you're right, and I got to throw my hand up in this one. Melanie Cruise has been around for a number of years in Shimmer, and it's taken her this long to really get it and really understand what her role can be and really be that monster that she's been threatening to be since day one and never quite managed to convince everybody about. Now she's doing it.
Yeah, and I think she's kind of realised her size, if that makes sense. That she is 6 foot tall. She is a monster, and she can throw people around. And she did throw Xandra Bale around.
Yes, that was actually one of the. Shimmer doesn't have a lot of squash matches, and certainly not really short squash matches. But if Shimmer had the match that you could say is the equivalent of a Sid Vicious squash match, that was it.
Yeah. Xandra Bale got murdered, and Xandra Bale also played her role very well with that. And also, she had a very, very entertaining outing with Yako Hamada as well.
Yeah. Again, that's a match that if you'd said that was happening a couple of years ago, I would have thought you're crazy. Who thought that would be a good idea? But it was. It actually really was. I think it was Melanie Cruise's best match in Shimmer to date. Again, coincidentally or not, with Ayako Hamada, she kind of has that special something that causes that to happen. But yeah, genuinely, we'll throw our hands up and say, Melanie Cruise, well done. That was a great performance over the weekend. So, without further ado, now that Shimmer weekend is over for now, let's jump in the TARDIS and go back to last week and get ready for our interview with Leia Von Dutch. Okay, and welcome back to the interview segment of today's show, and we are joined today by someone who is going to be making her way across from Ontario to the United Kingdom for about a month coming up now. We're talking about one of the fastest rising stars on the Canadian independent circuit, Leia Von Dutch. Leia, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're going to have you for an entire month, so to speak, with your big UK tour coming up. I mean, this is a big opportunity for you to turn some new heads and perform in front of a bunch of new fans.
Yes, yeah, I'm really excited to expand my fan base and meet a lot of new female wrestlers. I'm really excited about just evolving my craft, so it should be good. I'm excited.
What kind of inspired you then to do a big block like this in the UK?
Well, I was kind of feeling, in Ontario, there's only so many promotions, and I've been wrestling for all the promotions in Ontario. I've made my way out to Japan. I've made my way out to the US, so I kind of figured the next step was going to the UK and just expanding my fan base, and just, I found that just with being in Ontario so much that I really needed to get out there, and I just felt like this was the next step.
Now, you're still in your second year as a pro, so, I mean, I've got to credit you massively by sort of showing this kind of incentive early in your career to get out there and do that. There's plenty of people you'll find that end up stagnating in an area for years and years and years. Any particular reason why the UK? Was it just the next one on your list?
Yeah, it was just the next thing on my list. I know that there's a ton of great female talent there. And I just wanted to challenge myself and keep up with the talent there. Like, you guys have, Alpha Female, you have the Blossom Twins, you have some really great female wrestlers, like Kaylee Ray. I would really like to wrestle her. I just wanted to wrestle some new girls, some girls that I haven't wrestled yet. So that was mainly it.
That's good. The shows that you've got booked so far, I mean, you've got a bunch of them all around the country. So, I mean, if you're in the UK and you want to see Leia Von Dutch wrestle, you probably don't have to travel too far to see her. But, I mean, it's probably your biggest profile bookings when you're over here is you've got two shows coming up for Pro Wrestling Eve. One April 27th in Sudbury, and then one May 25th, and that's going to be the Queen of the Ring tournament. Have you had a chance to, I mean, do you know much about Pro Wrestling Eve? Have you had a chance to see what they do so far?
Yes, I have. I've been watching some of their past shows and things like that, and I really like to compare it to, we have SHIMMER over here, we have Femme Fatales here, Shine, and I like to put them right up there with all of those promotions. I think it's the best women's wrestling promotion out there, and I'm really honored to be able to work for them.
And apart from Pro Wrestling Eve, you're also booked for ICW Fierce Females up in Glasgow, and that's going to be their second all-female show up there. Did you have a chance to see any of their first show? Because they drew a massive crowd for their first show. Yes,
yeah, and I'm really excited about that. That audience just seems crazy and just so passionate. It's a whole different atmosphere when the fans are really into it, so I'm excited for that as well.
I mean, I was there at the first show, and like you say, there's a very active, very rowdy kind of crowd. Also kind of sort of adult-oriented as well. I mean, is this something which you've had much experience about dealing with this kind of audience, which is a little bit more sort of maybe 18 plus?
Drunk, you mean?
Yes, drunk as well.
Yeah, I was just actually in a show in London, Ontario, Hardcore Road Trip, and that was an ECW inspired show, so it had a lot of former ECW talents, and the fans there were absolutely nuts. I managed Scott Steiner, and everybody knows Scott Steiner and the way he can get the crowd going, so they were a really passionate crowd there, as well as I've worked for Fight in Toronto, and that's an 18 plus crowd, and they get really into it as well, and they have, those burlesque shows, and those, just, the crowd is just so much more energetic and fun, and you can say and do whatever you want. It's going to be fun. I'm excited to work for ICW.
Well, Fierce Females also has its burlesque interludes as well, so it sounds like you're not going to be on totally unfamiliar ground. But before we go a single step further, I need to talk to you about Scott Steiner.
Yes.
we can't go any further without doing this.
Okay, go ahead.
just what was that all about? What was that like?
Well, I have never seen anyone get such a great reaction. It was awesome. Like, stepping out of the curtain with him and just seeing all the fans, like, on their feet going crazy. It was a lot of fun, and then he just started dissing them, and they just hated on him, like, right away. It was something I've never seen that before, and it was a lot of fun. It's inspiring too to see how, like, we do have really great wrestling fans still, and it was an interesting experience working with Scott Steiner.
I'm fascinated by the guy. He's like this gigantic muscly enigma.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And he threw the ref right out of the ring at the end too. I thought the ref was done. It was pretty entertaining.
So, well, we're talking through or launched here?
Launched over the top rope. It was awesome. The crowd was probably about 500 people, so one of the larger crowds I've worked in front of anyways.
I just think you should try and use some of those Scott Steiner lines in ICW, perhaps.
I know.
I don't
No,
know.
I
Depends.
don't think I could do that.
I don't know. But let's run down your UK tour, because you got a bunch of stuff booked, and we sort of talked about some of the more high profile ones there. But you've got some other bookings. I mean, can you take us down a list of what you can announce so far as like dates and promotions, so that we can let people know what's going on?
Yeah, for sure. So like you said, April 27th, I'll be at Eve. The next night, April 28th, I will be working for EAW. May 4th is Fierce Females for ICW. May 17th, I will be doing some custom matches with Pippa at the Wrestling Factory, so you can make sure you get those in as soon as possible. Then May 19th, I'll be doing a seminar for UKW called Revolt Academy, and they just announced that I'm one of the trainers. So that's pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to that for sure. May 25th, I'm in the Queen of the Ring, and that for right now, that's all I can announce. But yeah, I've got a busy month coming up, so lots of wrestling, and I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Sightseeing as well, I assume?
Oh yes, yeah, for sure. I'll be doing that during the week. So when I'm not.
What are you looking forward to seeing in England most of all, then?
Well, I went to London, England in 2010, and just seeing the Buckingham Palace, that was awesome. Just I went on a Harry Potter tour, and I'd love to do it again.
Everyone says that. Everyone says that. That was basically that was my trip. I wanted to see if you would say that, because that's what every American/Canadian wants to do.
So have you been to King's Cross as well then?
Yes, but it was closed, so I couldn't actually see where Harry Potter went through the wall.
Wow.
Or whatever.
It's funny as well, because she's been to Buckingham Palace and I haven't.
Yeah, but we take it for granted. That's all.
We do a bit, yeah.
So there you go.
So, but that's some of the things that you have done. I mean, what else is on the list then? Because I guess you've got a whole country to explore.
Yes, well, that's the thing. I was only there for one day when I went last time.
Wow.
Yeah, so I would like to actually take time to investigate everything, and I'll be in Scotland a lot too, so I wanted to go up to the lake, to Loch Ness. So we'll see. I don't know. I just want to do everything.
I like the idea of saying that you're going to go investigating and you're going to go to Loch Ness. We should have like a new thing on the website. Leia Von Dutch investigates.
Yeah.
And just have you going around with like a big magnifying glass, just looking for clues about things.
Yeah, we could do that. Not a problem.
We should also give you a Lonely Planet guide as well. I think it might come in quite useful.
Yeah. Anything that'll help me explore the country, I'll take.
Now, your sort of family history, you're of Dutch descent, hence the ring name of Leia Von Dutch. Are you going to be heading over to Holland at any point as well?
I don't think so. Not this time around. Like I said, in 2010, I went over there. I'd like to make my way back over to Amsterdam. I'm just not sure if I'll have enough time to do it this time around. I really want to focus on London and Scotland this time around. So.
Fair enough. But you've been impressing me so far by sort of the way you've talked about expanding your horizons and trying to do new things. And I mean, if we go back to the whole wrestling thing, you've done that a lot in your career so far. I mean, from what I can see, you debuted in September 2011, and you were like, 6 months into your career, and you were facing Sara Del Rey on Chikara shows.
Yes, yeah, I was very lucky that way. She was a huge help with my career, 100%. My first match I had with her, that was the first time I ever really felt comfortable in the ring in front of an audience, because I knew no matter what happened, she would be able to guide me, and she would be able to take care of me, and I had nothing to worry about. Something clicked when I was in the ring with her, and I was just really fortunate to be able to step in the ring with her twice and have that experience before she moved on to developmental. So
Well, the first match that you had between the two of you was relatively short. It was that was the one in Ottawa. Then you had a longer one in Strathroy. I mean, compare the two for us. I mean, did you feel like in the sort of 3 months that you had in between those matches that you'd improved as well as a wrestler?
I definitely felt like I improved. I was training a lot between those 3 months. I moved out to Toronto so I could train at Squared Circle during that time. So I was training, 2-3 times a week, and I was having lots of matches. And I felt from the first time I wrestled with her, that short match was what I needed to get my confidence up there. And then the second match, I could really showcase my abilities. And it was in front of my hometown as well, the second match. So I had those fans as well. Like, I had my parents, my family, my friends, everybody was there. So the second match was very special for me. But the first match was what made everything click in the ring for me. So both of those matches were really important in my career for sure.
Now, you talked about the fact that she's moved on to be the trainer in WWE Developmental now, and WWE's also. I mean, you've got on WWE's radar yourself already. You've had at least one tryout with them. I mean, I assume that's still the ultimate goal in this career.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's I'm hoping that the WWE will eventually take a look at me. If it's not this year, I hope it's as soon as possible. But just traveling the world, getting international experience, all of that's just going to prepare me in the long run for WWE, and that's definitely my end goal. That's where I want to be, and that's where I've wanted to be since I was 12. So if it happens, it happens. If not, then we'll go from there.
So what happened when you were 12 then? Like, what happened in your life at that point where you thought, hang on, professional wrestling, WWE, that's what I want to do?
Well, that's when I started watching it, and at that time, that's when Trish and Lita both debuted as well. So, Trish being a Canadian blonde, well, she was a blonde anyways, I really related with her, and then Lita was the high flyer, and that's where I get my inspiration for those, like, for my style of wrestling as well. When I was 12, I saw them, I could relate to them, I wanted to be them, and that's when my passion for wrestling really, really took off, and then, so that's why it started when I was 12. It's just when I started watching it. I knew that's what I wanted to do. I never actually thought I had a chance, though. So it's kind of surreal still.
Well, I mean, Trish has ended up just being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. I mean, have you any sort of anything you'd like to say about Trish as far as like being that role model for you?
Yeah, for sure. She started out just as, puppies and, just as eye candy, just as a manager who was eye candy. And she really made a name for herself because everybody's always critiquing the Divas division. But she didn't have it easy either. But you saw how she progressed as a wrestler. So it gives me inspiration that even though the Divas division might not be where I'd like it to be right now, it still gives me inspiration and hope that it can be where I want it to be, if that makes any sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I've been thinking about that a lot recently. I mean, with WrestleMania just passing by there with no divas on the show or anything like that, it's like the division's kind of almost hit a bit of a rock bottom. But I mean, when you look at the talent that's in developmental now, and you've got Sara Del Rey training them, you kind of get the impression that if everything goes well, in another 2 or 3 years, you're going to have a division full of people who've been trained by Sara Del Rey, and that can't be a bad thing.
No, not at all. And it gives you hope. Like, that really motivates me, too. I find, with no divas being on WrestleMania, a lot of people might, I don't know, they wouldn't be motivated about that, but that really motivates me to want to make a change, want to get into the WWE even more, be trained by Sara Del Rey, and make an impact, because if they are at rock bottom right now, there's nowhere to go but up, so.
Yeah. This woman's ridiculously positive. Have you noticed, Lee?
Yes, she is. I just wanted to ask about the whole NXT thing, though, because I mean, do you watch it? Because as far as the diva stuff is concerned, there is a lot of things that are going on right there. And like Stu says, things are kind of bubbling there.
Oh yes, yeah, we get that on TV here. So I watch NXT. I love what's going on with developmental right now. It's awesome. Even with WrestleMania and them giving like the Shields the win and those kind of indie wrestlers, the type of, what am I trying to say here? Like, they're giving them the recognition that they deserve, and that's really exciting too. So both the divas in developmental plus the indie wrestlers on the main scene right now, things are looking up for us. So
yeah, I think it seems to be that for whatever reason, whether it's the influence of Triple H or what, but it seems that rather than choosing guys and girls who look good and then teach them to wrestle, they're trying to sign wrestlers. They're trying to sign people who've actually got some experience as far as being in the ring.
Yeah, for sure, and that's definitely a positive. So things are looking up.
Things are looking up, yes. Speaking of international competition and stuff like that, obviously the UK and that, but you mentioned it earlier on briefly, you did have a chance to go to Japan as well for Reino World. I mean, it's actually a funny, I say funny story, I don't know if that's the right term or not, but you got to go to Japan and wrestle in a Reino World show, but you ended up wrestling two other Westerners in a three-way, like Mia Yim and Crazy Mary Dobson. How was your experience in Japan, first of all?
It was a really great experience. Training, it was really difficult, but it just proved I proved to myself that I can really do anything, because there's days when I would be training for 7 hours. I would train, 4 hours with the Kaientai Dojo boys, and then I'd train 3 hours with the Mexican girls, and it just really proved to me that I can handle that. And just working in Japan, just how much the crowd respects the sport is something like really eye-opening. It was a lot of fun. Working Mia Yim, working Crazy Mary, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it, even though I didn't get to work, a Japanese wrestler. That was fine, because eventually at Femme Fatales I got to work a Japanese girl, Rio. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a great experience, and it was difficult at times because not very many people could speak English, but it definitely helped me evolve as a wrestler.
Well, I did want to ask about the language barrier thing, because it always seems to be something that strikes me when people go over to Japan, is that they seem to find it, I'm not going to say easy, but they seem to find it manageable to be able to negotiate their way around in a country where, it's not just the language that's different, but the entire alphabet as well. I mean, what was it like for you when you get down there? Was it a bit of a culture shock?
Well, I was prepared for it, just because my friend, Courtney Rush, she went before I went, and she told me to, be prepared for the culture shock. So I was expecting it. I was only there for 10 days. So, they have McDonald's. So I ended up eating there quite a bit, just because
this woman won't starve.
Yeah. You could just point to what you wanted on the menu. So that was good. And then I actually used Google Translator a lot on my phone.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
To interact with some of the other Japanese girls.
That's pretty good. Sometimes that works, sometimes I guess, yeah, it's a little bit hit and miss. But I think there's probably, as far as wrestling is concerned, and probably as far as training is concerned, you can kind of get past with, I guess, the universal language of wrestling and a few grunts and a few mimes.
Oh yeah, for sure. There was times I was like, I don't know what they were saying, but I would try to say whatever it was, whether it was counting or whatever. I would just, I'd try, and that's all I could really do. But as for the wrestling part, it's a universal language. It's pretty much the same all across the board, like, except for Mexico. But Japanese, like, training, it was fine. There was nothing really that I couldn't do. So
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, we're looking forward to having you over in the UK for a good month or so. But did the 10 days in Japan kind of whet your appetite to go back there for an extended trip?
Yeah, I definitely like to go back for sure. Just it has to be the right time. So I'm just waiting. Hopefully, I'd love to go back this year sometime. So hopefully that'll happen after the UK.
Jet Sarah here, everybody.
Yeah, she's gonna have a dog-eared passport by the end of it, isn't she? It's gonna be millions of stamps.
Yeah.
You mentioned...
They didn't stamp. I went to Cuba though for a vacation, and they didn't stamp my passport for Cuba.
Really?
Yeah.
Why not?
They stamped a piece of paper instead. I was pretty upset about it.
Oh.
Yeah.
You should have said, no, stamp my passport, damn it. I need to prove to people I've been here.
I know. I didn't even think about that until afterwards, and I was like, I don't have my stamp. But next time, I'll go back.
Yeah, you'll just have to go back and get it done, won't you?
Yeah, exactly. I'll just have to go on another vacation.
A fine tactic, Miss Von Dutch.
Thank you.
You mentioned work in Rio Mizunami at Femme Fatale, and that was actually, although you didn't get the chance to do it in Japan, you got a chance to work with a Japanese wrestler then at Femme Fatale. Again, how was that for you? Good experience, even though, again, presumably there was a bit of a language barrier?
Yeah, it was a great experience. It was a lot of fun, and that was the first time I hit the Flying Dutchman, and she put her knees up, so that was an experience too.
Oh yeah, oh lovely.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
We were there for that actually. That show. I mean, how are you enjoying Femme Fatale so far? Because you've been back there since, of course.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love all the girls. It's a great atmosphere, and it's a lot of fun. We all get along, so it's always a fun time to go there.
I guess networking's always a good thing with those kind of shows as well.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely. Like I met Soraya Knight, and we've been talking since then. So hopefully I can hook up with her too when I go back, when I go on my UK tour and things like that. You know, she's just so full of knowledge. I was just picking her brain the whole time she was at Fatales. So.
You know, one of your finishers or one of your signature moves is called the KLM.
Yes, yeah.
You do know as well that her baggage was lost by the airline KLM on the way to Montreal. So I kind of say if you obviously you're still talking to me now, so I'm assuming at no point did you mention the letters KLM to her.
No.
She may have ripped your head off. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I think that was I named it that after that. So.
There you go. Speaking of the Dutch thing.
The Dutch thing. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, speaking of the Dutch connection, I guess, let's say. Lee, you were wanting to ask a question with regards to the very name.
Yeah, because I know you got the whole graphic of Leia Von Dutch with the sort of Von Dutch logo in it and stuff, but tell me how you came up with this name, because it's clever, but it's almost like it kind of jumps out to you, but you can't. It's almost like you would miss it. You try and be too clever about it. So where did Leia Von Dutch come from?
Well, I applied to a couple different wrestling schools around here, and one of them needed a name. So I was just thinking, Leah came from my mom actually, because when I was born, my mom wanted to name me Leah, and then my dad wanted to name me Alicia, so it was
Tell me there was a coin toss. Tell me there was a coin toss.
Well, it was my dad's turn because my mom named my older sister.
Even better.
Yeah. So, so my dad got to name me, and then so Leah came from that, just from my mom wanting to name me Leah when I was born. So that's where the Leah came from. And then I was just gonna go with Leah Dutch, but then someone's like, it needs something else, and then we just decided with Von Dutch, and now I get some free cool gear from people, from fans. They bring me Von Dutch hats all the time. It's pretty sweet, actually. I love free stuff.
Are you trying to tell me that by some other twist of fate, we could have ended up with a wrestler called Alicia Von Dutch instead?
Well, yes. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Yeah. If it was my mom's turn, if I was the oldest, then yeah, that might be my name now.
Nice bit of trick there for everyone.
Yeah, it doesn't have the ring to it, though. I don't.
No, I don't think it does. I think your dad did well with that one. The other thing I wanted to mention, though, because this is something which I hooked onto after Shine 6 when you were there, and it's your theme tune.
Ah, yes.
Holy crap, that's catchy.
I know, it's awesome. I sing it all the time.
So does Lee.
Yeah.
I love
Where does it come from, though?
I got it made from a musician in Chicago actually, and yeah, Macy. So he did that for me, and it's just, I didn't really expect it to be that catchy. When I first got a clip of it, it wasn't like that. Then we kind of toyed around with it for a week or so, and then he showed me the final product, and I was like, oh yeah, that's it. That's awesome. So I think it's a really important part actually of my entrance. Like, you need a catchy theme song that everyone's going to remember and want to dance to. So,
well, there are quite a few wrestlers who have their own personalised theme tunes. I mean, Jennifer Blake, Mercedes Martinez, Jazz. There's quite a few around. But I think as far as just pure catchiness goes, I think yours has to be probably up there. It's really simple to be able to hum along to, and the lyrics are very simple too.
Yes, it is. Yeah. It's funny because I was riding to a show with Cody Deaner, and he had the tune completely off, but he was saying, like, all he was saying was Leah Von Dutch, Dutch, much, Dutch, clutch, and it's pretty funny. It's catchy because it's so simple.
It's sometimes the best. Yeah, best
exactly.
Things. Yeah. Okay, now the other thing that Lee and I noticed about you was that you seem to be you've got your shit together as far as merchandise as well.
Mm-hmm.
And again, for a young wrestler who's only a couple of years into the business, you've got your t-shirts, you got your 8x10s. I think you've got like an eBay store where you can buy these things on. Between getting all your merch sorted out that you can sell at the shows and people online can buy it, between getting yourself your custom music so that there's never going to be any rights issues with the music, to having all these plans of where you want to wrestle here, there, and everywhere, how are you so switched on at a young age as far as like what you need to do to make? I mean, what's your motivation here? How are you so how do you know what to do at this point in your career? Most people 2 years into their career haven't got any merch. They don't know what they want to do with their careers, but you seem to know.
Well, with merch-wise, it was actually when I started working with Chikara. I started doing merchandise with, like, selling their merchandise at the beginning. And, I would see Colt Cabana's merchandise sales. I would see El Generico's merchandise sales. Like, it just makes sense. That's a main source of income for these wrestlers. Why wouldn't I do it? I want people promoting my brand. I want my fans to be able to show their support. So merchandise was definitely one of the first things that I wanted to do, just for that extra income. As well as with the theme music, I've been with Shine. I knew I was going to be on the internet pay-per-view, and I didn't want to have any copyright issues. So that's when I started thinking about getting my own theme music. It was just, I've been watching the industry. I've been seeing how other people do it, and I guess it just kind of came naturally to me. Even with, like, gear, right from the beginning, I had pretty good gear because I want to look like a professional. I don't want to look like, someone. I don't want to be wrestling, like, I don't know, in bad gear. I want to look like a professional, and I want people to take me seriously. So, when you have all your custom stuff, people start to take you seriously.
All aspiring wrestlers should be listening to this podcast. The thing I wanted to ask though about the t-shirts is that did you come up with the design for it? Because the thing I quite like about your t-shirts is they don't look like wrestling t-shirts, which means you can kind of wear them anywhere as kind of a fashion item rather than just to wrestling shows.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't come up with it. I had a designer come up with that.
She's got a designer.
Yeah, yeah. To come up with that t-shirt, and I'm actually once this one sells out, I'm gonna get a new one made. Just, you got to keep things fresh and hopefully sell some more shirts. But yeah, no, I had somebody make that shirt for me. I'm not very creative that way, but I did want kind of like, I like it because it looks like a Detroit Red Wings symbol on the L, like coming off the L for Leah.
Yeah.
and I work for Clash Wrestling, which is in Detroit. So I find they sell pretty well there.
We once had a discussion with Hayley Hatred about whether or not she had people working for her. I get the impression you've got a team working for you, and I don't care if that's the truth or not. I'm going to choose to believe it.
I will let you believe that then.
Excellent.
Also, as far as the idea about keeping T-shirts fresh, we totally understand. T-shirts are available at ringbellsonline.com/shop.
Wow.
And LeahVonDutch.BigCartel.com.
There you go.
It's a shell off. Good Lord. Right. Now, Leah, the thing that people, I think, if anybody's heard of you before, and I think more and more people are as the months go on, without a doubt, but I think the first thing that everybody hears about you is the connection with Edge, and the fact that you won the Edge scholarship for training. But I want to go back even a little bit before that, and we'll talk about the Edge thing in just a minute, but from what we've been able to see from doing a little bit of research, is that you were involved in the wrestling business even before that, like doing some ring announcing, bit of valeting, bit of helping out here and there, sort of getting involved in the business where you could before that. And I understand that Cody Deaner, who used to valet for, had probably a pretty big influence in the early part of your wrestling career.
Oh yeah, for sure. Cody Deaner, he brought me, he showed me the ropes right away. The first time I met him, he asked if I would valet for him. I said, yeah, for sure. He's the one who really broke me into the business. He thought it was very important for me to get out in front of an audience before I actually was wrestling, just to see how the crowd reacts to things. And I find I'm very influenced by him. Whether I'm, a good guy or a bad guy, I find now I do a lot of things that Deaner does to get the crowd going. Like, I really was able to analyze what he does, and he was just great to learn from. And even if I screwed something up, he was awesome about it. He would tell me everyone makes mistakes, and we would learn from there. And he really brought me under his wing, and was just a fantastic individual to me when he didn't have to be. So I was very grateful for that.
I mean, it seems like you did work to lots of different elements as well. You did the ring announcing, you did the valeting. It seems like, as far as the performance aspect of wrestling, you've kind of found out a lot of different elements of it before you started training as a wrestler.
Yeah. I was ring announcing for a couple of months for Classic Championship Wrestling, which was great because it did get me out in front of the audience and be able to, speak in front of them. It was really nerve-wracking at first. I also did, I refereed, an entire show before, and I had no idea what I was doing. I would manage, I would sell 50-50 tickets, I would sell merchandise, I would, sell pizza, be the bell ringer, anything that anybody needed. That's what I would do just to get my foot into the door, and it really helped me. Being when I did end up starting to wrestle, it helped me get my foot in the door. All these promotions were willing to use me because I helped out before, and that's what you really need to do. You need to help out, and then people will help you out. So.
Does it make you more humble as well? Because you notice that there's a lot of different people who help to put this all together.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely. Especially the ring crew, tearing up and tearing down the ring before the shows, setting up chairs, setting up the lighting. It takes a lot of work. They're there all day, and I don't think people really realize how much the ring crew exactly does. So
have you done all that as well then?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've done that tons of times. So yeah, last time Ring of Honor was in town, I was the cord wrangler, so I've done that a couple times for Ring of Honor. I help them set up and tear down when they're in my area. So yeah, lots of different hats I wear.
Stu, this respect level is going off the scale.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Let's talk then about this Edge scholarship then. Again, people have heard that you got this Edge scholarship, but what it actually was an essay writing competition that you had to do, and then I think Edge did some interviews as well, but he judged that essay competition, did some interviews, and then chose one person who would get, wasn't it free training at Squared Circle training in Toronto? That's right, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, it was free lifetime training. So
how'd you come across this competition first of all?
Well, I was training before, and my trainer, he started getting kind of busy with work and things like that. So I was training maybe once every 3-4 weeks, and that's it. And being new, like I would forget everything by the time I would go to my next session. So I knew I needed to do something different, and I was just looking on Squared Circle's website just to see, the cost and things like that. And then I stumbled across the essay contest for free training. And so, yeah, I just entered it, and they chose me, which was awesome. But not only that, I also got to train with Taylor Wilde, from, the former Knockouts champion. So I got to train with her in an all-female class too, which was awesome, through winning that essay contest. So it really opened a lot of doors winning that contest, because I have no idea where I would be right now otherwise. So.
The essay question, from what I understand, was basically you had to write about why you loved pro wrestling. Is that right? Yes,
it was. And I didn't think at first I would get chosen, just because, I was already kind of in it. And we had to tell him also in person why we loved wrestling. I just told him, there was a lot of sad, sappy stories going on, and I had the privilege of being last and telling my story about how I've already helped out, how I love when the audience boos me, how I love it when they cheer me, and how I just want to entertain and make a difference in people's lives. And I think he saw my passion when I talked to him about it, because I wasn't telling like a sad story. I was just telling him how much I loved it, and he saw that. And then we had our one-on-one interview with him, which was one of the scariest things ever. Very nerve-wracking, but he's a really humble guy, and I want to make him proud. So.
How intense was this one-on-one interview? Then you said it was like really nerve-wracking, but was it a long interview? Was he asking you really difficult questions?
He wasn't so much asking me questions as he was just giving me advice. Right. The nerve-wracking part was that I saw a WWE camera come in the room. So I was really nervous about that. No, he was just giving me advice, and he did ask me some questions, but it was just mainly, this industry is a difficult one. Don't expect to make lots of money in it. I hope you do it for the love of it. And, I guess it showed that I really do love wrestling, and I've always loved wrestling, and he chose me, so it was awesome.
You talked there about the WWE camera coming in there. You also mentioned about how you want to do him proud by going as far as you can. That seems like a lot of pressure to put on somebody when they're starting out. I mean, how did you deal with that?
I tried not to think about it when the
sorry for bringing it up then.
You just ruined it now.
Damn it.
Yeah, like I was just, I saw the camera come in, and as much as it made me nervous, I noticed that it wasn't in the interview room for the two people before me. So then that's when I finally started thinking, I might have a pretty good chance at winning this. So it did make me nervous, but at the same time, it made me a little bit more confident too. So it was an experience. It was, yeah.
I suppose I would kind of equate it with maybe people who've won Tough Enough, for example. People watching somebody come through the ranks a bit and follow their story pretty much from the very start. Because a lot of other wrestlers, they may start out with training, they may do a lot of training, people don't necessarily know who they are, they start doing a few shows and people start gaining a bit of attention about them. You kind of had that attention on you straight away, so it doesn't shock me, the fact that you've come this far in a small amount of time, but I also think there must be a lot of eyes on you, and are you aware of the eyes, just kind of paying attention?
Oh yeah, for sure. I realize, people are always watching whether it's for good or for bad. You know, some people want to see me succeed and some people hope that I fail, and I realize that, and it's just part of the business. There's not much you can do about it except, you know, carry yourself in a professional manner and be positive. There's no point in bringing yourself down if somebody doesn't like what you're doing. So, yeah.
I've never met, nor have I ever had the chance to speak to Edge, but I always loved him as a performer. I got the impression that he's probably quite a cool guy. Has he continued to be interested in your career past, you know, the sort of the judging of the contest?
Oh yeah, for sure. He was definitely the one who helped me with get my WWE tryout. He was there during the tryout day, the entire day, answering any of the questions I had. Him and also Beth Phoenix was a really huge part in that as well. You know, like Beth, she did my hair before my tryout. They're so supportive, and I send them any of my matches that I have, and they'll critique them for me. I'll send them promos, they'll critique those for me. You know, they're really busy, so sometimes I don't get a reply right away, but that's just to be expected because they're super busy. But yeah, no, both Edge and Beth have been super supportive, and they're always there for me if I ever need an answer to a question that I have. So there's nothing more that I could ask for that way.
Well, if you send them this interview, I'd just like to say, hi, Beth. Love you. Anytime you'd like to come on the show, please do.
You horrendous brown noser.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Anytime you'd like to come on the show, Beth.
I'm just going to take that opportunity just to put that out there. Now, tell me the timeline of this as well, because again, I was looking at the Edge scholarship thing. I saw it dated as September 2011. Is that right? Is that an accurate time?
That is, I believe it was maybe the September 13th or 14th. I'm not sure. It was around that time, and I had actually just made my wrestling debut.
That's what I wanted to ask. Yes.
I was definitely not prepared or ready, or trained enough for my debut. However, it was a learning experience, so I'm glad I debuted before I felt ready. But yeah, so I had one match, and then I went and I won the scholarship and got that training and was properly trained. So
your first match then, if this is correct from what I was able to find, was actually a title challenge for the CCW Women's title against Cherry Bomb.
Yes, and I hit my Flying Dutchman, my very first match, which I'm proud of.
What? Is everything in your life a baptism of fire?
I was like, well, I asked my trainer, I'm like, you think I could hit it? He's like, yeah, probably. So I tried it. I just hope for the best.
Maybe I should just ease myself into this thing. Nah, what the hell? Let me just jump on the middle rope and throw myself backwards into the middle of a ring.
Yeah, I lost though. I didn't win, but it was fun. It was against Cherry Bomb, so it was awesome to be in the ring with her. She knows what she's doing. So
Cherry Bomb seems to have kind of found herself in the last few months, really, as far as my sort of perception of her as a heel, really, really mouthy, really entertaining with it as well. I mean, I saw you wrestle heel at Shine 6, but a lot of the time I've seen you wrestle babyface as well. Is there any preference as to which one you like?
I'd definitely say that being a heel is more natural for me, which is weird because it's not like the way I am in real life, but I feel like I have a chance to develop my character a lot more and be more creative as a heel as opposed to a baby face, because, you know, in everyday life I'm a baby face, so I like to be mean and aggressive once in a while, so I love being a heel. It's a lot more natural for me in the ring, I find.
I was quite surprised seeing you do it at Shine, because you're against Santana Garrett and she is just like oozing babyface.
Yeah, and we have very similar styles, so that was that match was a lot of fun. Because she just, you know, she upshowed me every move I would do, and it was a lot of fun working with somebody who also has the same style as you. So,
if I remember correctly, I think it was didn't you miss the flying? Flying Dutchman? Yeah, and then she hit the Shining Star Press.
Yes.
So it's like a battle of the off the rope moonsaults.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
And then, at the beginning too, we were doing a bunch of fancy chain moves, so it was a lot of fun. But I resorted to cheating and I lost.
How dare you?
I know.
Any chance of going back to Shine? It seems to be a place that's gaining quite a big reputation very quickly.
Yeah, definitely. I think I have some unfinished business with Santana, so you can definitely look forward to me being there in the future.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, we talked about the UK tour you got coming up, and again, that's April 27th through to May 25th for everybody. But after that, what are your plans for the rest of the year? I mean, I assume you've probably got it mapped out precision-wise.
Yes, like I come back and I do quite a few shows around Ontario, some in Detroit area, and then after that, hopefully I can make my way. I'm hoping to make my way back over to Japan or make my way over to Mexico for a bit. Though that's the plan. Plans change, so we'll see what happens.
I'm pretty sure that so far it seems that everything you put your mind to, you can pretty much achieve. So, yeah, I'm going to wish you all the best on that one. And yeah, you're probably going to get sick of us because we'll probably end up seeing you quite a few times during your UK tour. So, the end of the month, you're going to be like, thank God I don't have to see those guys anymore.
No. I say that now, but... No.
Yeah, you say that now,
Yeah, we'll see at the end of May.
That may change. But, so once again, let's just say to everybody that wants to know, everybody that's in the UK or in Europe, let's be honest, if you want to fly across for any of these shows, you probably should. April 27th through to May 25th, shows for Pro Wrestling Eve, ICW Fierce Females, Customs at the Wrestling Factory with Pippa Levin, seminar at UKW, and possibly other stuff that we can't even talk about yet.
Correct. Yeah, I have a couple other dates, but I'll definitely be posting a list of all my dates on my Twitter, Facebook. So coming up in the near future. So yeah.
And a quick show of what those are.
Well, Twitter is at Leah Von Dutch, as well as Facebook is just Leah Von Dutch. So I don't have any fake accounts yet. Nobody's been impersonating me.
That'll be the next thing.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Also, you can buy Leia Von Dutch's music too.
Yes.
You've done that, in fact.
My ringtone.
Oh, that's awesome.
You'll find out.
What?
That sounded so sinister. Oh my god.
That's just taking a creepy turn.
That was like so Dexter. It's not funny.
We've just lost the Beth Phoenix interview now. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
No, seriously, Leia, thanks very much for giving us a bunch of your time. We look forward to seeing plenty of you in the next month or so, and plenty of you in the months and years to come. I'm baffled by quite how switched on you are so early in your career, but I can only just congratulate you.
Thank you. Thanks. I really appreciate it. It's been a fun ride so far, and I'm looking forward to what 2013 has in store for me.